Welcome to a new e-learning paradigm, a plusmap.ai.
Hello, econ folks, and welcome to the Explainer. If you're getting ready for your AP Economics exam, we're about to tackle a topic that's pretty much guaranteed to be on there, and it can be a little tricky. It's called tax incidence. Today, we're going to make sure you get it crystal clear, so whether this is a first look or a last-minute review, you'll walk away knowing exactly what you need. Let's jump in.
Okay, so let's start with the big mystery. We all know what happens when a tax gets put on a product, right? The government gets its money. But here's the real question. Who actually pays for it? Does the buyer just have to shell out more cash, or does the seller have to eat the cost? Who really ends up with the bill?
All right, here's how we're going to crack this case. We're breaking it down into 5 simple parts. We'll start with the big question. Then we'll uncover the one secret factor that decides everything: elasticity. After that, we'll open up 2 case files, one for inelastic demand and one for elastic demand. And then we'll bring it all together for the final verdict. Let's do it.
First things first, let's put an official name on what we're actually talking about here.
So this whole question we're asking, it has a name in economics. It's called tax incidence. And really, it's just the study of how the bill for a tax gets split up between the people buying the stuff and the people selling it. Because here's the thing, it's never just one side that pays. The burden is always shared, and tax incidence helps us figure out who pays more and, more importantly, why.
So what's the secret sauce? What's the one crucial piece of the puzzle that tells us how that tax burden is going to be split?
The answer to who pays more. It all boils down to a single powerful concept: elasticity. Specifically, we're looking at the price elasticity of demand. And all that really means is, how much do consumers react when a price changes? That sensitivity, that is the key to solving this entire mystery. All right, let's open our first case file. This is what happens when demand is inelastic. Think about products that people feel like they have to buy, pretty much no matter the price. Stuff like gasoline or maybe essential medicine. For these things, buyers just don't have a lot of flexibility. Okay, let's break this graph down together. First thing to notice is that steep red demand curve. A steep curve is your classic signal for inelastic demand. Now the government adds a tax. For the seller, that's a new cost. So the supply curve shifts up and to the left, to this new S plus tax line. So where do we end up? At a new equilibrium, EAT. Now let's trace the impact. Follow the line over from EAT. The price buyers now pay, PD, is way higher. But the price sellers actually get to keep, PS, is only a little bit lower. This whole yellow box is the government's tax revenue. But look at how it's split. The top rectangle A, that's the burden on consumers. The bottom rectangle B is the producer's burden. As you can see, plain as day, when demand is inelastic, the consumer's box is much, much larger.
And this just confirms what we saw in the graph. When demand is inelastic, buyers are kind of stuck. They don't really have other good options, so they can't just cut back when the price goes up. This gives sellers the power to pass most of that tax right along to the consumer in a higher price. The buyer ends up paying way more.
Okay, now for case file number 2. Let's see the perfect contrast. What happens when demand is elastic? This is where buyers have lots of choices and are really sensitive to price changes. Think about something like a specific brand of soda or cereal.
So let's see how this changes the whole picture. The first thing you'll probably notice is the much flatter red demand curve. That's our signal for elastic demand. We apply the same tax, so the supply curve again shifts up to S plus tax. But wow, look at the result. This time, the price buyers pay, P, D, barely goes up at all. Meanwhile, the price sellers get to keep, PS, has dropped significantly. The tax burden has completely flipped. Now the consumer's burden, area A, is tiny, but the producer's burden, area B, is huge. The seller is absorbing almost the entire cost. And the logic here is the exact opposite of our first case. Because demand is elastic, the power is in the hands of the buyers. If a producer tries to pass the tax on by raising the price too much, consumers will just switch to a different brand. So sellers are forced to absorb, to eat most of the tax themselves to avoid losing all their customers. This time, the sellers pay more. All right, let's bring it all together.
For your exam, you need a clear, simple takeaway that you can pull up in an instant.
So here it is. This is the crucial point, boiled down. Just remember this simple rule. The burden of the tax falls on the side of the market that is less elastic, or you could say less flexible. So when demand is inelastic, the consumers are the ones who are less flexible, so the buyers pay more of the tax. When demand is elastic, consumers are very flexible. That forces the sellers to pay more of the tax. It's all about who has fewer options.
And that is tax incidence, decoded. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought to apply this. Now that you know the secret, what kind of products do you think governments love to tax if their goal is to raise revenue without totally changing how people behave? Something to think about.
We hope you're excited for what's next. For more learning materials, please visit aplusmap.ai.